In this video, I would like to talk about the moon landing, about the conspiracy, and how ChatGPT helped me with my biggest doubt about the moon landing. There are people who think that it is all fake, and they are, 100% convinced that it is all the conspiracy. There are people who think that these people are nuts, and they are 100% sure that moon landing was real, and so on. And I am pretty much convinced that the moon landing was real. It is not a conspiracy. I think that there is a lot of evidence which many of us don't understand, but I think that it's almost obvious that it is real. But I would like to talk about one thing, one doubt that I had, and how ChatGPT helped me to realize that it actually makes sense. So yeah, I stopped believing in this conspiracy when I was maybe 21, 22, like maybe 10 years ago. And it was because of my misunderstanding. For some reason, I don't know why, when I was younger, I thought that humans went to moon only once, in 1969. I don't know why, but this was what I was thinking, that we went only to the moon once. And there were these videos that was trying to convince people that there are these shadows or no stars and so on, and wind, and yeah. And I was like, I was not believing the conspiracy, but I was very, very open-minded that maybe it is all fake. But I was young, naive, and so on. And once I was with my friend outside, and he said something like the Americans, like people from the United States, they went to moon like 5 or 6 times, and Russian didn't go a single time. And I was like, wait a minute, what do you mean 6 times? They went only once. And he was like, no, they went like 6 times from 1969 to maybe 1972. And I was like, okay. So I Googled it and I found out that it is true. And at that moment, for me, it was like the conspiracy is over, because I don't believe that they would fake 6 moon landings. And I was like, if the first one was fake and then next 5 were real, for me that would be completely irrelevant. Like if they would fake one, but 1 year later they would go really to the moon, I would be like, it doesn't change anything. It would change a little bit that they are able to lie about something this big, but for me it was like, it completely lost the relevancy. But later, a few years later, when I was thinking about this, there was this thing. And it was like, it wasn't about this, wind on the moon, or not seeing stars, or, the ways in which people try to say that it is fake. But my biggest reason to believe that it may be fake was that 50 years later, we didn't go back to the moon. And I was like, how it is possible that in 1969 or 1971, we went to the moon, and then 50 or 55 years later, we didn't go back. It made zero sense to me. I was like, I don't get it. I don't get it how it is possible that in 50 years they were unable to go back. And then I read a little bit about this, and I realized that at that time it cost a lot of money, and in NASA, they have like a really big budget because of the Cold War and so on. And the reason why they didn't go back was basically because of the money, because it's really expensive. So that was like the main reason, at least in my understanding, why they didn't go back. And also it was maybe about the motivation, like we already went to the moon, and now if we want to go back to the moon, we do not want to just go there, but if we go there, we would like to maybe build something in there. Just going there again wouldn't make much sense, you know? And I was like, maybe okay with this explaining that it was really expensive, and that's why we didn't go back there, and that we don't have that much motivation to just, you know, throw $1 billion, or I don't know how much it cost to go back. So I was like, okay, everything makes sense, I am fine with that. But then, maybe 2 years ago, I was watching some video with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he said that right now we want to go back to the moon, but he said something like, firstly, we are going to send a spaceship without the humans, then we are going to send humans, but they are not going to land on the moon, but they are just going to orbit around the moon. Then maybe one more time they are just going to orbit around the moon, and maybe only after that they are going to land on the moon. And I was like, wait a minute. You want to tell me that 55 years ago, or I don't know how many, they went to moon 5 or 6 times, and right now with 100 times better technology, what we need is firstly to go without humans, and then go with humans but just orbit, and then one more time maybe just orbit and only then land. And I was like, no way. If you could go to moon with like a calculator with 64 kilobytes, or I don't know, right now we should be able to send humans to the moon with closed eyes. Like if you could do it 50 years ago with that technology 5 or 6 times, right now it should be something so small, something so easy that we shouldn't be like sending humans to the orbit and so on. We should be able to send humans to moon with closed eyes. Like it should be that easy. Like how the hell you need to experiment, how the hell you need to test, why do you need to test? If you could do it 50 years ago, how come you cannot do it right now? It just didn't make any sense for me. And I was like, okay, let's ask ChatGPT, because I am really confused and so on. And ChatGPT helped me with this a lot to make a sense out of this. And the answer was pretty simple, you know? 55 years ago, when they sent people to the moon, it was risky, and it was like there was maybe 10, 20, 30, 40% chance that they may die, and it was like, if you are going to die, you are a hero. But today, we have zero death tolerance, you know? Today, you cannot send people to the moon if there is 5% possibility that they are going to die. Back then, if there was 20, 30, 40% possibility, that's good. If you die, you are a national hero. Today, if something is going to happen, it's going to stop the whole thing for maybe a decade. And the same thing goes with almost everything. Right now, I am not saying that I know this exactly, but probably back then, when you had airplanes, you was like, if it's flying, don't fix it. It's like, when there is no issue, don't fix it. If the airplane is flying, it's fine. Today, probably after every single flight or after every few flights, you need to check things, you have these protocols, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to be extremely careful. Planes, they have to be in best conditions and so on. The same thing goes with the cars. My grandfather, he never went to the car service ever in his life. He was repairing his car on his own and so on. Today, at least in Middle Europe, where I live, every 2 years I am obligated to go to the service to check the emission and state of the car and so on. So back then it was you have car, if it's driving, it's driving, if there is no problem, don't fix it and so on. And today you have no, we need to check this. Every 2 years you have to check your car. Slowly it's going to be every 1 year and so on. And I think something very, very similar is with going to moon. If we wanted, if we needed to go right now to the moon, if it was top priority and it was if someone is going to die, it's going to die, that's fine. I think we could go to the moon immediately when it's possible. But because we need to check every single thing, we need to check every single detail, we need to make sure that there is less than 1% possibility of people dying. Everything needs to be perfect. There is no tolerance for death and so on. Then it makes sense that they need to firstly go without the people, then orbit around the moon, then maybe one more time orbit around the moon, and then actually go to the moon. So for me, this ChatGPT explanation was something, maybe it's obvious for many people. For me, it's obvious now. It wasn't back then. But it was I was thank you. I love this because this explains my doubt. So yeah, I am not trying to convince anyone who believe in that UFO, that moon landing is fake, that it's not fake, or I am not trying to convince people who think that it's not fake, that it is fake. I am just saying my opinion. I don't think it was fake, but I had this was my biggest doubt. Why do we need to test everything when we went there 50 years ago on 64 kilobytes calculator? So yeah, this was just my experience, my opinion. Maybe you believe in conspiracy, maybe not, but yeah. So yeah, this is all. Thank you and goodbye.